So tell me about this polling. You, of course, know Florida. You know a lot of things about a lot of states, but being a Jeb Bush guy, this is a state you know well. So tell us a little bit about Duval County and what it means to you that so many residents of Duval County apparently don't want this convention.
Yeah, there's a real message in the data. At the end of last week, we had a good polling firm go out and talk to 600 voters in Duval. And Duval is Jacksonville. The city and the county are almost exactly the same thing. It's about 1 million people. And it is a county that Republicans have not lost in a presidential race since Jimmy Carter. Now, it's gotten tighter. Romney won by 3 points, Trump only by 1.5 points, but it is lean Republican world. And we thought it would be interesting to see what they thought about this gunpoint convention during a pandemic coming there. And as you can see from the data, by 10 points they're against it. And we even did a little push question where we said, well, wait a minute. Governor DeSantis is for it. Mayor Curry is for it. It'll be great for hotel rooms, et cetera, versus COVID risk, and that trouble. And the numbers got worse. It went to 13 points against. Even Republicans, in a Republican-leaning county, 40% of them say that they agree the convention could cause a COVID outbreak. And even 30%, 1 out of 3 said, don't bring the Republican convention here. That's Republicans talking. Finally, we couldn't resist a ballot test. Yeah. And it's early. But this must win, big, important Florida swing county. Donald Trump is behind Joe Biden in our data by 8 points. So, between this and the Venezuela thing he just did, siding with the dictator, there's a very vocal community in South Florida, Venezuelans who hate the dictator, Maduro, in their country. So it's like Trump is trying to lose the state that could end it all for him and, put it in the Trump book under weird behavior.
Well, so, Mike, I want to focus on the ballot question just because it's so striking to me. As you pointed out, I'll say it again, just in case anybody missed it when you said it the first time. This is a county, Duval County, that Republicans win, that they've won for the last 30 years consistently, and that Trump beat Clinton by 1.5 points. So you got Biden up here by 8 right now. You're right, it's early. But, again, talk to us a little bit about how worried the Trump people should be right now about, if you think about the core 6 battleground states, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Florida, North Carolina, and Arizona. I'd say the Trump people have been most confident of those 6 states. They've been most confident about Florida throughout, president's second home, et cetera, et cetera. But he's getting creamed right now in Duval.
Yeah, no. Look, this is a 200-pound canary just fell with a big thud at Republican headquarters. Now, even if he loses Duval by 5 or 4, it's big trouble for him. It's interesting. He did worse than Romney in Duval, but he made it in the state Romney didn't by super performing in a few other counties. But that super performance isn't guaranteed. It's also the bellwether state for the fact that Republicans normally carry older voters over 60. Mitt Romney is the president of anybody, with a tennis ball and a walker. No doubt about it. It's the Republican. But, Biden is doing very well with older voters. So Florida, which is, I don't care, if Wisconsin snaps back or somehow he saves Michigan, put aside the trouble in Arizona, which would be a big win for the Democrats. Florida will break his, political neck. So it ought to be priority 1. And there's absolutely no doubt the state is in play now in a big way. So there is no Trump fortress left. It's a battleground.
So, Mike, I want to talk about optics a little bit with you in the most, and I don't want to use the word naked around Donald Trump because that just conjures images that are, it's not good for really any time. But in the most naked way, in some sense, right? Trump's image, right? There's a piece of reporting in the Washington Post I'm going to read to you here from this piece. Trump increasingly preoccupied with defending his physical and mental health. I'm going to read this to you. It cites an early June meeting in the cabinet room that was intended as a general update on President Trump's re-election campaign, but the president had other topics in mind. Trump had taken a cognitive screening test as part of his 2018 physical, and now, more than 2 years later, he brought up the 10-minute exam. He waxed on about how he dazzled the proctors with his stellar performance, according to 2 people familiar with his comments. The seeming non sequitur was part of Trump's growing preoccupation in recent weeks over perceptions of his mental and physical health at a time when critics have mocked him for episodes in which they say he has appeared frail or confused. And, of course, we saw him the other night in Tulsa, Mike, spend more than 10 minutes trying to explain away his walk down the ramp at West Point, talking about the water glass. It seems like he is truly obsessed with this question of what people think about whether he looks strong and whether he has it together. Talk about what that means in terms of his psychic vulnerability as he increasingly doesn't look strong or like he has it together.
Right. No, it's totally right. It's a huge tell. I've been in the campaign business for 30 years, and most candidates have a button and they keep it well hidden. Trump has a big red button right on his forehead, which is, if you call him weak, he massively overreacts, physically weak, any kind of non-tough guy thing, because he's created this phony tough guy image. And so when you push that button, as the ramp attention did, he goes crazy trying to overcompensate. And that's a huge opportunity for the Biden guys, and other surrogates to rattle him on that, because then you get what you saw in Tulsa, which is 18 minutes of, I do 100 push-ups right here, but we all know I can't. It's crazy, but it is definitely right in the middle of his brain, this whole weakness, strength thing, which, the old Southern political joke, the guilty dog barks the loudest. And so call him weak and see what happens.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.